Hey, thanks for tuning in. My name is Adam, and today we're gonna design a little something. And today's little something is a toothpick. One you'd find in your bathroom. I thought it had some pretty interesting curves and relatively simple to design. And what we're gonna do is kind of do like a half circle. We're actually gonna do a full circle. We're gonna extend out some of these pieces and we're gonna do some curved lines on down in here, and we're gonna design in this little toothpick part, and we'll do an extrude, and yeah, we'll get right into it. So just like always, let's go into Fusion, and first we will check our origin, and we're gonna bring this. Today we're actually gonna design from the top down as if it was laying on a table. We're gonna check our units. We're in inches, that's great. And let's go ahead and save this. We'll call it the toothpick. And save that. All right, so how I'm gonna do this first is I'm gonna do a circle with my C right there on the origin, and bring that out, and let's see how that works. Looking at about a 1-inch diameter circle. Come in a little bit, and now we're sketching. Let's go ahead and throw a line. Make sure this is in line with the origin. Snapped in, come down, it's snapped in. That's great. Exit, and let's throw a sketch on there. Over-constrained sketch, interesting. So let's try this one. I'm trying to get that blue line black. There we go. All right, so now that is constrained, and let's do search. This tool is called offset. So what I want to do is get this line in here a little bit. Let's see how thick this center circle needs to be. So I'm just going to take this measurement of this length. We're looking at about a 0.16. So it's a negative 0.16. You can see if this was changed to positive, how that changes it, but we'll keep that negative because we do want it to be on the inside. All right, and what we'll do next is we're going to figure out how far down this is going to go. So the way this is oriented on my sketch plane is it's like this, where we kind of drew the full circle, but what we're going to do is actually focus on just this side of it, and what I'm going to design down is this part. What I really need to know is how long this is, and it's not exactly a 45-degree angle off of this. It's more kind of like maybe like a 65-degree angle off of that. So we'll play around with some degrees to try and get it to where we want it. But the first measurement I need is the total length from tip to tip. And let's see if I can get this positioned in here. It's very thin. We're looking at about a 3.1 inches. So what I'm gonna do is just take a line, and we'll go up here all the way to the top, because that's the top point that I sketched it to. And we'll do 3.1 inches off of that. And additionally, what I'm gonna do is I'm pressing tab. So my first constraint, the measurement, is locking that in. You can see there's a little lock icon by that 3.1 inches. That's locking in that length. And what I'm doing now is just looking for the right degree that this is positioned at, so that way it's as close as we can get it to it. So I'm kind of looking at this. We're looking about a 6.5. I'm really just looking for this midpoint of this down here. So we'll stick with that 65 degrees. We'll just round that out to an even 65. And we'll hit enter on that. And this one, we are gonna change this to be a construction line, because that's not the actual line we're gonna use. It's mainly just a reference line for us. So another thing that I'm gonna do is, you can see the bottom of this is flat. So that's an easy one for me to sketch on here. And we'll sketch it up here. And you can see it locked in automatically off of that. And I'm just gonna take the length of that, looking at about 0.27. So we'll say the length off of this, and we'll say 0.27. Okay. And then what we're gonna do is, we want that to be centered off of here. So let's move this. And actually, this is free floating. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna lock this in right over here. And we're gonna say distance from here to here. And we're gonna say 0.27 divided by 2. And what that does is, it's just gonna center it with that construction line for reference in the future. It doesn't necessarily need to be on it. We could probably put it on it, but since it's just a construction line, we're really just looking for a reference point. So the next thing we're gonna do is, we're gonna create this lower curve down here. And how we're gonna do it is, we're gonna snap onto this curvature of the circle, and then we're gonna use a tool to make a nice curve going down. And what that is gonna look like is, we're gonna use create, and actually it's already listed right here, the fit point spline. That's what we're gonna use. And we're gonna come down here, we'll just snap in. We'll snap into about, we'll go center. Snap into there. And then I'm using that reference line as kind of like a guide. So I'm gonna come in here, kind of curves down, and we're gonna lock in to this one. We're gonna hit that green check. And what that did is, created like a nice curvature for us of that line. I'm pressing escape to get out of that, let it think for a second. And what I'm doing now is, I'm just gonna kind of clean this up, just so that way it's not as extreme as before. And you can see this one, I'm gonna drag this down just a little bit, maybe make it a little more drastic. And that looks good. And the one thing I do want to do is constrain this to that circle. And we'll keep it like that. Now, the spline tool is very interesting and kind of annoying. The reason it's annoying is, it's very difficult to constrain this. In order to constrain the spline, you have to actually constrain each point along the spline. And what that ends up doing is, it will lock it in place, but just know that it's difficult to constrain a spline, and for this example, I'm not going to, but if you were designing something to manufacture or print, you should go ahead and try and constrain all those splines. But for now, just for simplicity, I'm gonna leave it unconstrained. So I'm gonna come up here and do something very similar to the top portion. And this one's a little bit easier of a curve. You can see it's really just one single curve. So what I'm gonna do instead of a spline is, I'm gonna come down here and do the arc and then 3-point spline. I'm going to reference my little toothpick on exactly where that's going to be, and it looks like it's right about the center. And we're going to come down here. We're going to lock it into this point that we made before, and we're just going to try and get that curve. And it looks about right. All right, we'll keep that in. And so now what happened is you can see it gave us a shaded area for something that we can work with here in the next couple steps. So I'm going to escape out of that point, and I'm going to press E for extrude, and I'm going to press the E, and now it says, okay, what do you want to extrude? Because there's a lot of stuff going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these points. So I'm selecting that section, this section, and this section as what I want to be my points to extrude. And I'm just going to orient this just a little bit differently so I can see this thickness a little bit better. And I'm going to take a measurement of that thickness of this toothpick, and we're looking at about a 0.07. So what we can do is a couple things. When you are designing, it's best to design around the origin as closely as you can. Most of the designs you do, it really won't matter, but for some of them, it's really convenient to design around the origin because you can use the origin as a reference point to mirror on. And when you mirror things, you'll do that a lot when you're designing in the future. And it's best to get into a habit of designing around the origin as best you can. So what I mean by that is instead of extending this just in one direction, you can see it's going down the 0.07. What I'm going to do is come over here and I'm going to change this. Instead of saying one side, I'm going to say symmetric, which means it's going to be the same length on both sides. And what that did is it actually added 0.07 down and 0.07 on the top as well. What I'm going to do is change this to whole length because that's the measurement that I just took. And that will bring it down to the 0.07 that we need. It's in new body, that's fine. I'm going to hit OK. And now we'll take a look at our toothpick. So now you can see our toothpick is looking a little funny. Let's see, I can hide this origin. And you know, it's kind of similar, but there's something missing. And what it is when I designed it, this circle isn't an exact full circle. These little edges come out a little bit from the circle. The cool thing with Fusion is you can come in here and without even having to create a new sketch, you can come in and you can just press E for extrude, and then you can click these two because they're on the same area, and you can bring them. I'm just rotating this so I can see it a little bit better, and you can extend these out. And what I'm looking for is just to kind of make it look like that. I'm not going to do it exact. I'm not going to take the calipers out. I'm just getting a general feel for it. And that's pretty close to what I'm holding in my hand. I'm going to make sure that this says join so it doesn't create a new body for me. And I'm going to hit OK. And so now we've got that going on. And you'll notice there's some kind of hard edges going on. And what I'm going to do is let's see if I could change this so that way it'll show me some of these. All right, so what I did is you can press Control 4 and it will hide some of the lines, but Control 6 will bring the lines back visible. And we want to see those lines because what I want to do is add some fillets around this object to make it a little bit smoother. So what we'll do is we'll fillet this first, just to get a feel for this curvature. I'm just gonna use my little toothpick as a reference tool. And let's start bringing this out and see kind of how it looks. All right, that's about where I need it. And let's come down here and we're gonna fillet these teeth that holds the floss, and that looks pretty circular. So what you can do in here is you can come in and say fillet, and we'll click on that corner, click on that corner, and we'll click on that corner, and we can do them all at the same time. So just bringing this in, just waiting for it to be nice and full, and you can see if I go too far, it fillets it, it really fillets it. So what we'll do is we'll back up, and we're looking at about a 0.075. That's fine. I'm gonna hit OK on that. That one looks good. Let's come down here. We'll throw some fillets down here as well. I'm just pressing F to get that fillet pulled up and just pulling this in a little bit. This one's not too drastic. We'll stick with that one. 0.05 is fine. All right. And now the cool thing, now that everything has been curved, one option for the fillet is you can fillet this whole face. So what we'll do is we'll click F, we'll click this whole thing, and what it's gonna do is give a fillet to this entire edge. And we'll also do the underside at the same time. And let's see what this looks like. We'll do 0.05, and that might be a little too much. You can see it's not symmetrical. So let's go to 0.02. All right, we'll bump that up a little bit. 3, and I'm happy with that. Let's see what 4 looks like. It might be perfectly round. All right, we'll stick with 3. And we'll keep that there. All right, we're starting to look like a toothpick now. And we'll bring this up, and one of the last things that we will design is this little toothpick down in here. And so what I'm gonna do is take this first measurement of how far from the bottom it is. We're looking at about a 0.79 off of here. So what we can do is we'll click on this face and we'll say create sketch. Bring that down, and I'm gonna press L for line, and then I'm gonna change it to a construction line. I'm gonna try and get this. Yep, there it is. So that's the midpoint of this face down at the bottom. So that tells me I'm dead center. I'm gonna let that come out, and we will go to, let's see, 0.79. Okay, and we'll just keep it at the same degrees as we had it before, which is 65, and maybe we need to go a little bit more. Let's hit 70, and let's hit 67. All right, what's going on now? Oh, there we go, 67. All right, we'll take it. Fusion's kind of going crazy a little bit with these angles, and that's fine. And that's mainly just a reference point for us. And what I'm gonna do is just do a general sketch. Let's see, it's gonna be an L, and we're gonna come up here off of this piece. Gonna come up, down, and go about right there. And this is still in construction, so I'm going to change these back to a regular shape because that's what we need. And what we'll do now is we'll use the offset tool again. So we'll go S for search, offset, oops, wrong one. Bring that back down. Let's try that again. Search, offset, click on that one, and we'll click this tool. we want this on the inside, and about like that is fine. We'll make this a nice even number, -0.02. All right, and what we'll do now is we will take a line, go from here up to here. All right, and now what we can do is we will bring this up here and we'll use Extrude, and we're just gonna punch that piece right out. I'm gonna change my angle a little bit so you can see, and I'm gonna drag this, instead of dragging it up and creating a shape, I'm gonna take this back down and we're gonna cut that away. And that is fine to cut it like that, but a quick design tip. So when you're doing a cut function or an extrude function, it's really important to consider, will I need to make this thicker in the future? If the answer is yes, instead of just keeping it right here, you should probably bring it a little bit farther. Additionally, if you don't want to do that, you can come down here and instead of doing, let's see, extent type, you will say all. And what that will do is, regardless of how thick that piece is, it will always cut through the whole thing. It looks a little funky, like it won't be long enough, but it will. But one easy, quick way of doing it is you can just say distance, and if you're not really worried about it, you can just drag it out and you'll hit OK. And as we come back over here, you can see we've got a little toothpick in there. All right, and the final thing needs a little bit of color. So press an A to bring that appearance in. Let's find a plastic. Okay, let's see. ABS white is fine, and we'll double click that. Let's find that nice teal color. And let's bring that in. Let it think for a second. Think for a long second. There we go. And all right. Let's change that a little bit. Let's make that a little bit brighter. There we go. That's more like it. All right. So we'll hit close out of there. We'll hit save, because it's always important to save our designs. And that will just about cover it for making a toothpick. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you find stuff around your house that you can design. You can design just about everything that's around your house. And I chose this because I thought it was really interesting, some really unique shapes. And I hope you got something out of this video. Give it a like, send it around. If somebody's trying to learn Fusion 360, I'd love for them to watch my videos. It'd bring me a lot of joy to know that somebody watched it and it helped them out. So I appreciate your time. I'm Adam. Have a great day. Thanks.